When I started to look into doing a podcast, I knew I had a lot to share and say, and I wanted to do it in an audio format. I was a little intimidated, not going to lie, about how I was going to go about recording and editing and distributing and all those things because technology is not my strong suit. Naturally, I can learn things. And so when I started to take webinars and ask questions on Facebook and other platforms, I decided that Anchor was the best way to go. It's been a bit of a one-stop shop for me. I can record all of my episodes. I can edit them. It's been really nice because it's free. And when I started to do a podcast, it was, okay, how am I going to rebuild my practice? I had to close my practice down because of COVID, federal mandate. So how was I going to rebuild things? How was I going to give myself something to do? Because this defines me. What I do, it defines me. So I really needed an outlet, and the budget was like nothing. So having this free option has been great. I am recording on my laptop, but I can also record on my phone if I decide that's a way to go, or maybe I don't have my laptop on me. And so that's pretty exciting to know I can do it from there too. They also take and distribute to various apps for people to listen on, which again, that is taking one stressor away from me so I can focus on my content. And if it's something you'd like to do, if you have something you'd like to say, I can't recommend it enough for somebody who's a newbie and starting out. And I feel like even if I wasn't, new at this, it's been something I've been doing for a while, I would still like this platform because of the ease of everything. So if it is something you'd like to look into, you can download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm. That's ANCHOR.fm to get started. Welcome to the Infinite Dance. I'm your host, Carrie Areta, Akashic Records reader, psychic sleuth, and spiritual guide. Welcome back to all of you who have been tuning in every week. And if you're new to this podcast, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I do tie in things going on with Akashic Records and Akashic messages and anything that's affecting our soul and what we're going through. So I have a couple things to start out with. First, I am recording this Monday, July 5th, which this evening, I believe around 9:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this evening, sometime, I might be slightly off about the Pacific or Mountain, but the planet Sirius is aligning with the sun. And what that entails is, what are you becoming aware of? What are you having notice of in yourself, maybe in those around you? Sirius, the planet Sirius, holds the energy of initiation. It's one of the ones. There's a lot going on with the planet Sirius. And if you're a Sirian starseed, you should feel extra maybe buzzy or energized through a lot of what's going on. Although, of course, we'll all feel these energies. They do affect everybody. But if your soul resonates with Sirian starseeds, then you just might get a little extra dose of feeling energized. And that's a good energy. The sun is happy and hot. Here I called, got messages that July is going to be a juggling of July and hot in all the ways. And I know where I am in Northern California and Nevada, it is really hot. We're in the late 90s to early hundreds a week. And so it's hot physically too. So that's happening tonight. So I hope you get to enjoy this energy. Try to incorporate it in. Doing a nice little ritual of carving a sigil for the planet Sirius into a candle. Gold or white is a great way to honor or make note of this alignment. And when you use a sigil or an emblem or a symbol and you put it in something like a candle, you're really grounding it into earth energy. You're bringing it into life, basically. So that's what can happen with all of that. Another note I wanted to bring up is Britney Spears again. How heartbreaking it is to know of all the things she has gone through and is still going through, and the fact that she got denied getting out of her conservatorship. I really think it's going to take all of us to help get her out of that and keep fighting for her. And anything you can sign or, anything we can all do, including listening to, there's some really great people I consider colleagues that do live channels of Britney Spears or other famous people, and listening to their channels and what they bring in with the energy. I know I already went over, past life records and curses and vows and oaths and how it plays out in this lifetime. And unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of oppression come up, and a lot of us are saying no. And, this can't happen in any way, shape, or form. And something as blatant as what's going on now, and to have somebody like Bill Cosby get off, it's like, I feel like I get images of like, oh, let's just pull it down one more time. Let's just pull it down, pull the energy down into this crap, dark space that we don't need to have as a part of a part of our everyday life. And so again, there's some really great channelers, one in particular on YouTube. She just did a video on channeling Britney Spears energy, and she also happened to channel Michael Jackson's energy, so he kind of came in to her aid. And what she says and what she brings in, she works a lot with Archangel Metatron, who I call Archangel Alexandra. But tune into her on YouTube if you want to hear more. I really enjoyed her download of that she just put out yesterday, I believe. So check her out, Amanda Ellis. And she is on YouTube. She's on the interwebs, but that's where she does most of her longer channels and segments. So today's episode, let's get to today's episode. I am calling this episode All That and a Bug Bite on My Butt, because that's how my week ended last week. Realizing, all of this that happened, and I have a bug bite on my butt. And let me just premise last week as being the first week I personally was back to having a full week of work around people. I work with people all the time doing the readings and vending. I started vending last fall, and the small town I was in Northern California, vending pillows and readings. So it's not like I was like not used to being around people at all, but I was having a full week of clients, of working at a new spa. I actually went back to doing body work, massage in particular, which I had kind of started to semi-retire from, but in the space that I'm in and starting from scratch pretty much in a new town, that's my skill set. I've done body work for 20 years, and I found a place that is super in alignment with how I like to present myself and how I like to present my body work, and how I like to assist people in finding ease, relaxing, and all those things. So I'm really feel so grateful to have found this space. But I had already had, before I kind of, got hired and figured out the days I was going to work, I already had vending in place and private clients in person scheduled already. So, and I've been sewing like a mad person. So I've been sewing the pillows up until this week because I wanted to make sure I had product right when I go vend. So I can't really remember the last full day I had off. I mean, I've had like parts of days off. Wait, I did go to the lake, but I did write for the podcast at the lake. So it wasn't a full day off, but I did get to swim. So that always is like pure bliss for me. But I hadn't had a full day off in a while. And, sewing like mad, knowing I'm going into this week of being with clients, having my hands on clients, a full day of massage, it's really involved. And even, the best of shape or the best of, you can go in with the best of night's sleep and all that. It's still, by the end of the day, you're like, okay, I'm glad that was the last client of the day, because, you're just ready to go home, like we all are at the end of a day of any kind of work. So this episode, the reason why I'm going to tell you of this week, okay, because at first I was like, we all have those weeks. We all have those weeks that we're like, what's going on? Are you kidding me? This, that, or the other, right? And I think what I took away from this week is how much I've changed in getting through really pushing myself, or going like, oh my God, I can't lift another chair or table or box of pillows or whatever it is. Not having time to myself is really hard. Like, I am somebody who really needs to be by myself to rejuvenate. Like, I love being around people, love socializing. I love what I do. I love the interaction. And I love when people share their stories with me. It's such an honor to be in that space with another being. But when the way I kind of flow, get in my flows, I have my time to myself, my baths, my meditation time, my yoga time, my walks, and of course, sleep. I love sleep. So I'm not one of those people that are like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I'm like, no, I'm going to sleep now because I want to be aware and I want to partake in this life and with all of my faculties with me. So the way this is tying in with Akashic records and Akashic lessons is, I went through the last dark night of my soul here recently in this lifetime. So I'm not going to go through another dark night of soul ego. I call it dark night of the ego in this lifetime. And it was a doozy. It lasted quite a while. I look back and I realize that's why I reacted to certain things and certain people a certain way. I really hid a lot and I canceled a lot, whether it be work or whether it was social events. And, I'm really holding space for myself with that. And looking back now, because I think I was hard on myself going, why am I doing this? But now that I'm looking back, I'm realizing I really didn't have the capacity to, because I was processing so much. I was processing so much of past soul trauma. And, recently, as I've spoken of before, the generational healing that I've been going through. So, having that and having gone through it and really transmuting that old energy and those old stories that no longer serve to my highest benefit or anybody else's around me, really going like, yeah, you know what? So I got stuck in traffic. So I, for 4 hours, so I got, uh, don't have a key to get in the room I'm supposed to be in, and I find out the night before at like 9. So I'll go through this because now that I look back, I mean, it's kind of comedic. It was just, there was so much. There was just so much. I don't think I could even barely get it out. If you were standing next to me, I'd be like, I'm too tired to even talk about it. But now that I've had some time off, a couple days off, or at least a whole day, I'm able to process it. So this is the tale of my first full week back to work amongst people. And let's see, Monday I was sewing. So that Monday of last week, I was sewing the whole day. And I was trying to get as much done as I could. There's always been a snafu through pandemic, as we've all experienced, and we couldn't get toilet paper, we couldn't get so many things, and doing the sewing that I do, the pillows that I make, the Infinite Pillow, the inside pillow is it's a zipper. So I sew in a zipper, put the buckwheat hulls in, excuse me, that inside pillow, and then have the pillowcase on the outside. And I was having a hard time finding neutral zippers in the size I needed. And I was like, all right, and so I tried to flex on, okay, maybe I could match them to the outside pillow because the patterns are kind of fun and some of them have lots of color, or maybe it's, a gray that goes with the gray in the pillow cover, pillowcase. Anyway, so it was just hard to find those. So I've been kind of like, I'll try to plan so that I can get a bunch done ahead of time when I do have, time I'm not with clients, and whatnot. But it's been a little bit hard. So I was able to sew a bunch and cut like I do. Anybody who sews in bulk, you kind of get like parts done. Like I do all the cutting, and then I do all the sewing with the black thread, and then all the sewing with the white thread. I really try to batch it so I'm efficient. And so that was Monday. I was trying to get all of that done, and I had been doing it up until, that weekend too. And so Tuesday, because I was gearing it for Tuesday, because that was my first day with a full day of massage clients. And honestly, that had probably been a little over a year since I had a full day of massage clients, because even though I did mainly Akashic work back in before the pandemic, I did see clients for massage, and some days would be all massage clients, that day. So it's been over a year. So this was my first day. I was gearing up. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I made sure I got a good yoga session in, and wanted to make sure I got a good night's sleep. And I was trying to get stuff situated the night before, like, to-go cup for coffee in the morning, or, shirt I wanted to wear that, all that. And I have a little pad that I keep where I do my to-do list. Well, listen here. I could not find any of those things. Any of the things I was looking for that night before, I could not find. So I was like, all right, get a different shirt, whatever, find a different mug, write on some scrap piece of paper, no big deal, right? Who cares? So I go to bed, and I got an okay night's sleep, but it wasn't the greatest. And I think it was because probably I was really excited. I live currently on the Nevada-California border, and this place that I am doing massage, so I'm working for somebody else. okay, doing massage, and I'm actually their employee. This is really exciting. And this didn't happen a lot in the past where you could be somebody's employee and actually make decent money doing massage. It had always been, or what I had always seen it being pretty crap pay. And that's why I was always like, oh, yeah, I'm not doing massage for other people. Like, I'll answer your phones or file, but I'm not gonna, or whatever, I'm not gonna do massage because it's not comparable. Well, the laws changed in California, and you actually have to be somebody's employee to work for them, excuse me, doing massage. So I was like, okay, excuse me, I kind of like this. I'm on board, right? I'm ready to try it out. So the spot is half of an hour away from my house that I'm at now. So about in California, again, right on the border. So we're right on, like, it's 10 minutes to the, you're in California now. And I leave. I think I start my day, to leave out like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I get to the spa, and it's myself and the other therapist. There's three of us therapists. One is one of the owners, and so we're all getting ready for the day because we all have packed days, or a packed day. And we're kind of goofing around. So, I'm just meeting these ladies. I really don't know them, right? And we're already kind of goofing around and making it light. And it's like, oh, this is fantastic, because I was kind of grumpy that I couldn't find things and I didn't sleep well. And I knew that. Well, waking up, I was like, okay, I'm waking up with grumpy pants on, And I know, though, from the past that when I get with clients, whether I'm doing Akashic work or massage, it is such a wonderful give and take of energy in that space that I could wake up and not feel great, and things can start to feel okay while I'm at work. And I've always enjoyed that with work, with the kind of work I've done. In the past, I have done work with kids, and I used to teach swim lessons, and even when I had my restaurant, I was kind of all involved, and you're on the floor, you're all involved, you're on, and you're interacting with people. And I do enjoy serving people. So it's a space I'm very comfortable in and feel a sense of joy. And so I felt so joyous. And then here are my colleagues being so joyous to be around. And so I was like, okay, this is awesome, right? So the day starts off with a couples massage, the first couples massage in this spa. It's a brand new spa. They opened like 2 months ago, right? So we're kind of getting set up, and I've never worked with this other massage therapist, and lo and behold, we worked great together. We flowed really good together, and the clients seemed really happy, and that's how the day started. And I got off, and the day went really good. Great clients, again, great energy. And the AC did go off about halfway through, but part of me goes like, am I having a hot flash? I wasn't, but it wasn't so bad that you're like, I can't handle. But the AC did go off, so I was like ready to jump in the lake by the end of the day, but that wasn't going to happen because I had to get back home because I had a bunch of stuff I needed to do with my pillows because I didn't get everything done over the weekend. So I was really looking forward to utilizing this time. So I felt really accomplished with first day back doing massage, full day at a new spa. And I even got to use my ART, the active resistance technique, on a few. And that was really great too, because I love that work. And it's a form of deep tissue, very similar to Rolfing. So really going to change the relationship of the muscle to the bone. And it's great to see a client get off the table and feel so much different. And I know it's going to be lasting change for them too, because we're getting into that cellular change with the relationship of the muscle to the bone. So anyways, I felt great. So I get in my car. First I stopped at the grocery store that was right across, in a little shopping center. And I get in the car and I head off, and again, I'm about half an hour to my house. And if any of you that are tuning in know the corridor between Nevada and California, 80 East, between Truckee and Reno. Um, if you're from the Bay, you know what I'm talking about. If you've come up at any season, summer, fall, or summer, winter in particular, it can be kind of harrowing. It's 2 lanes on each side, and it's lots of turns and lots of big rigs. And there's more than I've ever seen before on it. Anyways, I get on the freeway entrance, and I mean, I'm not even on more than a minute, and there's a sign, a neon sign flashing saying, prepare to stop. Not even, prepare to stop. There's been a crash. And it's like, oh crap. Are you kidding? And first I'm like, I hope people are okay. It's just scary. Like I said, that corridor can be very daunting. And I know I had another colleague that was heading the same way. So I was like, God, I hope she was in front of because she left before me in front of the crash, because here I am behind the crash. And we were not moving at all. And there wasn't much, this little area too, you don't get cell reception so great. So I couldn't look. There was one part I could look a little bit, but there wasn't much coming on. And long story short, it took me an hour and a half to get to the next closest exit. And I was still in the town called Truckee. And I was so grateful to get off, because we were sitting, idling. And of course, AC doesn't work, or mine doesn't when I'm idling. And it was about 96 degrees, 97 degrees. The sun was just beating down. So it was really hot. And I mean, I didn't plan on, I didn't have a pile of water or anything, on me, because I was like, I'm going home. So it was kind of like, okay, where's this going to end? A couple of people behind me, I could see them get out and, bring their kids, off to the side to go to the bathroom. I mean, you just didn't know how long you were going to be there. And, cars were all around. So I was able to take off this little exit, about hour and a half in. And there's a little gas station off this one exit. And I knew that I could tell there's like everybody that I was on that freeway with was probably at that gas station. And I knew there was a little market in this little suburb of Truckee. And so I made my way to that market, and there was just a handful of us people there from the crash. And, because they have food and drink and whatnot. And there was a restaurant, a pizza place that's attached, but they weren't open. It was a Tuesday that this is happening, and they weren't open. And so the guy that owns the market was like, oh yeah, I said, hey, there's some picnic tables out back and they're in the shade. Can I sit there? And he's like, yeah, the pizza place, it's usually theirs, but they're not here today. You're welcome to go sit back there. Let me tell you. And I'll post a picture, because I took a picture because I was so happy. These little picnic tables were in the shade. There was the cutest little awning. The picnic tables were sitting on AstroTurf, and there was all kinds of kids' toys, like a giant Connect 4 game. And there was like, when I actually sat down I laid down on the AstroTurf. It's been a long day, and I had been sweating, and then we'd been out of AC, and then it's just so hot. I was just so happy to be in the shade with a big old thing of water, and laid down. And there's little pieces of like Legos, like a little Lego person head, so I could tell it's a place, with lots of play happens. And it just felt so nice to be there and be in the shade. And AstroTurf never looked so good or felt so good, let me tell you. And by the time we were able to get back on the freeway, or where it was cleared, you can get on, but where it was cleared, it was about 3.5 hours total. So it was about almost 9 o'clock when I got home that night. So I was like, all right, well, none of the stuff I was going to get done is going to get done. And hey, had my first day. I don't feel so terrible. Did my CBD salve when I got home, and was really happy to wake up and not feel sore. And so I was like, yay, all the yoga that I do has still been holding up. And having the CBD stab has been like, that's one of my favorite things ever. This particular one I use has camphor in it, and it feels so incredibly good. I use a product called Color Up, and they are from Colorado, and they're vegan and organic and just really clean. Like, they do a really good job with their products, and I love them. And if you would like to check them out, I highly recommend it. I actually used to rent space out of their office in Denver, the Denver area. So near and dear to my heart, and love their products. Absolutely love their products. And so that was my Tuesday. That was my first day back to working with people, and then being around people, you know, and not being able to kind of have that quiet time. Wednesdays, I do my Akashic guided meditations every Wednesday at 9:30. So I had those going on, and I was excited. Actually, I had a private client to see on Wednesday here in Reno, and she's also a friend. So we plan on having lunch and then having a little bit of a session. And here I am, not with a office space yet. So she was such a trooper to have the questions that she wanted to have answered, done, in a little corner in the patio. So, but it was so nice to have lunch with a friend too, and then have a really great session. So, thank you, Andrea. I know you listen. So it's always a pleasure sitting across from you. And yeah, so thank you for that respite. And I didn't realize how much of one it was going to be until until the week progressed. This crazy little week progressed. And thank you for the plant cuttings, by the way. They are in water, and I can't wait for them to grow roots. And so Wednesday was kind of nutty though, because I was, after having the nice lunch and then the session, I had errands to do for the pillows. And sometimes they can be involved. I have to go to a couple different places and pick up things. And, getting used to a city again that I've been in. I've never lived here, but definitely familiar with, but it's still new. Things just take a little longer. So, Wednesday evening was kind of a bust for getting stuff done too. Again, I'm vending the next day. So I was kind of hoping to have a little bit of time to get things done. And if you don't know this, I am currently living with my folks. And that's part of the rebuild and part of the getting, rebuilding from scratch pretty much. So I really feel like, I don't want to be invasive of their time and their space. So I'm really, a lot of this, whatever I'm trying to do with the pillows and sewing and using a sturdy table and whatnot, I'm really trying to gauge around their schedules, around their comfort. And they've been really great with letting me take over the front room. And, but I don't want to be loud in the evening or, things like that. So working out all those kinks still, I'm sure something will be probably different or set in place where it won't be such a thing. But so that's Wednesday. Thursday, I wake up and I hit the ground running. I knew I needed to finish pillows. I needed to leave to vend at about 2:30 in the afternoon. And I knew my nephews and niece were coming by. My parents took them to a train ride, and they were coming over to get changed to go to the swimming pool. And so I got to see them, and it was quick. I wish I would have had more time, but again, I'm pulling my hair out trying to get all these things done. The morning went pretty good, actually. I was pretty happy with it. Even got yoga in, yay. And I was really looking forward to vending in Reno. And I found a great vending spot is every Thursday at the McKinley Arts Center, and the spot is on this grassy area under so many trees. There's so much shade, so much foliage. Across the street, the Truckee River is there. And so, I mean, I've not seen necessarily the river, but I know it's right there. And it's just a really magical little spot in the middle of downtown Reno. So I was like, okay, this is pretty nice. I get to take my shoes off and have my feet in the grass while I vend. Perfect grounding, This week's kind of been a little, it's a lot. It's new. I'm getting used to new things. And so the vend goes great. The vendors are great. The people that put on the event are wonderful. Vending buddies are always, so helpful. They help you with your tent, or, hey, if you need to borrow a dolly, I needed to borrow someone's dolly. Mental note for next time, that I bring my own dolly so that I can schlep my, I don't know, 100 pounds of sandbags. Because we have to make sure the posts on our tents are secure just in case the gale force winds that happen around Reno, Nevada, and probably all of Nevada don't take everything with them. If you haven't experienced those, they are quite forceful. And sometimes we can't even be outside doing things because you're just, everything's blowing. To the point where it's extremely uncomfortable. So, like I had some help, I met some new people, I made some sales. I had a lot of people asking for Akashic Record readings at the event. So next Thursday, if you are listening to this and you are in the Reno, Nevada area, I will be doing mini Akashic readings. I will be offering those at the River Walk Farmers Market at the McKinley Arts Center from 4 to 8. So if you'd like to come by, I will be doing those. So all's really good, and we start to break down, and I break all my stuff down. I had to go get my car, and I parked my car so it wasn't right next to the event. It was just like half a block down the road. And I see this little dog, and I see this other vendor, and I'm thinking, well, maybe it's just her dog. I mean, everywhere's dog friendly these days, so that didn't faze me. But she kind of looked frazzled or unsure. Unsure is more the word. And so I was like, "Is this your dog?" She's like, "No." And I was like, "Oh my God, he's like doing zoomies," and he was doing zoomies like all around her and like all around like this little area like in front of me, and the street was right there. So I'm like, oh my God, we got to get him because he's gonna run out into the street, And so we were able to get him. He had a collar on. He didn't have a tag, and I looked at her and I said, well, I'll hold him while you call animal control to see if we can find out whose fur child this is. And so I was just talking to him and making sure he was okay. And, he got comfortable and like leaned up against me and looked up at me with those big brown eyes. Oh my God, it was so cute. So little puppy interlude that was so sweet. And as I was sitting there, talking to him and cooing at him, this man walks around the corner and says, "Is that your dog?" I said, "No, I'm just making sure he's okay." And he's like, "I think that's Anakin. That's my neighbor's dog. He's looking for him." And he's like, "Oh, Anakin." And so he came and got him. And so found his people. So that was really good. And so then I finally got back to, this was probably maybe about 20 minutes. Maybe we were there. And finally got back to my spot to start breaking down. And, I needed to pay the vendors the vending fee. Here, my stuff probably looked abandoned. But so I made it back. And, started to schlep my stuff again to my car. And this time I didn't have a dolly at first. But then there was another vendor, because the ones that lent me their dolly had, there was like 3 of them. So they were able to get their stuff up pretty quick. So there was another man, and he had a dolly, and he was kind of winding down, and I said, hey, can I borrow that dolly? And he let me borrow that. And so that was really, really nice again, that I had somebody else that, gave me a dolly, because, it'd been hot, and, moving the table and the chairs and the product and it's quite a bit. So like 4 loads, 4 to 5, to and from, where you park your car to where you actually vend. So it's just by the end of the night, you're kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of ready to not be doing this anymore. So I get home. It's about 9, a little after. And before I saw the dog, I texted my colleague who was letting me use her office in the town I used to live in Northern California. So she was letting me use her office the next day, Friday, for the private clients. I had 2 of them, and I was going to be there all day. I was going to be there from 11 to about 4:30, 5 o'clock. And so I texted her just to be like, hey, just reminding you, I'm coming tomorrow. And, when I'm finally able to look at my phone, because I was schlepping and, wrangling dog and all that, she was like, oh my God, I forgot to leave the key, and I'm flying. So she flies for Delta part-time and does massage part-time. And I was like, oh, okay, what am I going to do? Because I had scheduled these ladies previously, and this was like a reschedule. There was just some snafus with scheduling. So I was like, oh, poop. What's gonna happen? I'm like, does anyone else have your key? She's like, no. I was like, okay. And she's got a great little office that looks over this meadow. Lots of these windows. It's very pretty. So using somebody else's space, I could bring in like maybe an extra little side table to write on. But I would just bring my sheets, and she has a massage table. She does massage and Thai massage, and it's kind of a larger room. And so it would have just been so perfect, right? So she's like, well, let me see if the landlord would be okay if you use the front room. Now, she's like, it's not furnished. There's a small couch in there, but, it's a space. And I was like, okay. 'Cause she's like, it's always open. So if he's okay with that. And then she's like, there's chairs in this other little side room. So if you need a chair, you can get a chair. I was like, okay. So about 10 minutes later, she says, listen, he said it's fine. She's like, I don't know what it's like air-wise, because, it's late 90s, hundreds, and I don't think there's AC. And so I was like, well, hey, if he's okay with it, I'm good with it too. So I'm packing up a bit of an office, though. I wanted to bring a table and, all my office things, but my crystals, which I would always bring anyways. But so I kind of packed up a little office, and I have this anti-gravity chair I have clients sit in while they do. I started having them do this during the pandemic. But the anti-gravity chair when I do the clearings, so they can kind of have this relaxing, leaning back kind of space. And so I make my way that morning. And by the way, right before I left my house that morning, I was told that the little town that's about 15, 20 minutes before the town I was going to be working in, there was a fire this morning, but he thinks that, we think it had been contained and mopped up, whatever had been going on. So I was like, okay, as long as it's clear, because that's extremely stressful. If you've ever driven near or to or away from smoke and flames that is not contained, it is extremely scary. So that was contained, and it's a beautiful drive. I had through Nevada and into California, into the Los Sierras. So I go from the Sierra Nevadas to the Los Sierras. And once you turn onto Highway 70, excuse me, it's just beautiful. You kind of just get that exhale. that big exhale, that's what it's like. And so I'm looking forward to seeing my clients. I connected with them at a vending event I did in Blairsden, the little town I used to live in. And so I was really looking forward to seeing them and their appointments. And I get to the space and it's hot. And so the first client was only an hour and a half. So I said, hey, are you okay being here? She said, yeah, it doesn't seem too bad. And it was pretty warm. And I thought, okay, there's no way I'm going to be able to stay here for the duration of the other clients because it would be the rest of the afternoon. And so I went into the hall near where my colleague's room was. And I turned on a little light in the hall. And sure enough, that light was attached to a ceiling fan. And I was like, and it was kind of shady in there. It wasn't as hot like the direct sun. And so I moved my little makeshift office into the hall right in front of her door. And, that little area just has such good energy. There's another therapist that has a room there. And thank goodness she didn't need to use it, or I didn't see her all day. I mean, I really took a chance. But I didn't want my client to be, so uncomfortable hot. I mean, because it was really hot. So I moved there, and everything was going good. And all of a sudden, there's a door that goes to the outside where the hall was, where I set up, and I set the anti-gravity chair, and we were in the clearing part with my client, right? So she's on the chair, got the Hertz music on the Hertz scale going, starting the clearing, and I see a man at the door. Well, I know the door is locked, and it's the door for the hallway for all of the other offices upstairs, but he can get into the part that's always open. So I get up, and I beeline for him, and I'm like, oh, hi. I'm like, I'm set up in the hallway. It was really hot in that room. And my friend Monica, I was supposed to use her office, but she forgot to leave the key. And she's flying. She flies for Delta. And he looks at me. He's like, who are you? And, I'm like, I'm Carrie. And he's like, oh, Monica's my wife. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, this is how I get to meet you. And I was like, listen, that room was so hot and it was too hot to be in. And I'm going to be about a half of an hour longer. And he's like, no problem. But he kind of like looked at me side and I felt like, oh man. But he was really nice to come back after I was finished. And so all worked out well. And I did take a picture of my makeshift office in this hall. So I appreciate my clients that day that were so flexible with being in this office space. This is a part of rebuilding. This is a part of reconnecting in an area and, really loving what I do too. Like again, feel so honored to sit across from clients and have you share your stories with me. It is such an honor. And when there's that connection and alignment and people wanting the services and the information and that exchange, I'm all for it. So when things kind of happen like this and they're not, perfect, I am so grateful. And I'm so grateful for colleagues who are really awesome. Thank you, Monica, if you are listening, for being so amazing and believing in me and what I do. And to your husband for going with the flow, having somebody he's never met in the middle of a hallway. So thank you. I really appreciate that. And so that was that Thursday? That was Friday. Oh, but Friday doesn't end yet. Went across the street, talked to my friend who she's the owner of a shop where I have my pillows in. And I was going in because I needed to give her a flyer to display. And so I was bringing that into her, and we ended up having the best conversation. Like one of those conversations, she shared with me information about a son that had passed back in 1999, and how there's this real serendipitous piece of art that a woman painted that she just came across that day, and it was the same butterfly with one tattered wing on the same side that her she had seen right after her son had passed, and she knew that was her son coming to give her a message. And so it was one of those goosebumpy stories, and I was crying. And listening to her tell me the story of meeting this artist who was just, amazing. And I just love having my pillows in the shop in Blairsden. If you are in Plumas County, she's got, I've got my pillows in there, but Pam's got the cutest stuff in there. She's got plants and candles and art and photography and jewelry and face products and CBD products and essential oil spritzers, and a lot of it's local. I think most of it's local, but I'm not sure. Anyways, if you're in the area, check that place out. So cute. Such good energy. So I had this great exchange. I had the clients, the trooper clients. Thank you. If you are listening, if you're those clients, you know who you are. Thank you. Thank you. So I headed off to go home, and I was going to treat myself. So I stopped at the health food store in a little town called Portola, and there's this drink that I get, and it's like a blue spirulina mint thing. It's so good. Well, they didn't have it, but they had this other thing. It was like rose and something. It had no sugar, but it was like rose lemonade. Oh, so yummy. Anyway, so I had my little treat, right? Oh, and I had gotten my clients fudge, and none of them ate the fudge. One ate a little bite, right? It was like I give my clients after sessions, if you've seen me, chocolate. Chocolate helps to ground you. And so they're both like, no, we're not doing a lot of sugar. And we're not going to take it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm stuck with the fudge. So I have my nice, healthy, no sugar drink from the health food store, and then on this, pile of fudge. So I start to head out, heading 70 East, where I came in, and as I left the health food store, the gal that rang me up and I both came out. She came out with me to look at the sky because she knew there was a fire. And I looked up and I was like, oh my, and it was, the smoke was so vast. It looked like clouds. It was so high. And at one point it almost looked like the sunset, but then you're like, oh, that's not red from the sun setting. And so it was a fire. But there wasn't any blockades and there wasn't anything set up. And so I kept heading east, right? So I'm heading towards Reno. And I start to be able to see about 10 minutes, from where I was, the flames on the left-hand side of the highway. And the smoke clouds are getting bigger and bigger. And there's helicopters, not one but two, flying over. And there happens to be a little airport. It's very tiny right there. And I thought, oh, great, because that's where all the helicopters, I forget what the one's called that do the water when there's fires. But anyways, that's where they station out of. I thought, okay, this will be contained. This won't be too long. How come I'm not being how come I'm not being rerouted though? I should be rerouted. And sure enough, a couple of minutes later down the road, I see the, police, making a barricade. And I'm like, okay, we're being rerouted, because at any moment, being that I could see the flames right there, they could jump the highway, right? So they're on one side, they go to the other, and I have a fur child that really wants to come in. So I'm going to open the door so that she can come in and grumble. She's my grumble pants. Get in here. This is Jazzy. Come on, Bug. Get in here. We're doing a long episode today. Hope I'm keeping you company on a commute, or maybe you're doing your errands or your chores around the house. But we are joined by Jazzy. She might be vocal. She grumbles. I call her my grumble pants. Or the Marge Simpson of cats, because she goes meow, meow, meow. Anyways, that's the sound she makes. Anyways, so there's the fire and the flames, and I'm being rerouted. And I, there's that surge of like, oh shit, I was looking forward to getting home. I really was. Friday. I did a full day the next day early, at the spa, doing massage. And, it's that of like, okay, I'm not going to panic. I'm going to turn my butt around. because the flames aren't necessarily near me yet. And I do know there's another route I can take to get home. It's a little longer, but there's another route. So at least I can keep moving. Because at that point it wasn't like I wanted to like lolly in another town, or, like I just kind of wanted to be home again. Because I was looking forward to resting. I was looking forward to resting. And so, I got rerouted again, and I passed on my reroute 2 fire trucks, and I thought, geez, and they were like 10 or 15 minutes apart from each other. So they were really pulling people in, and it turned out there was evacuations that ended up happening, I believe, the next day. It wasn't fully contained yet on Sunday, and no one was hurt or injured. But when you start to hear about evacuations, to me, it starts to get really scary, because you don't know what can happen then. If they can't get it contained, what's going to happen. So I get rerouted, and hoping again that this fire gets contained, because I could see the smoke billowing behind me still. And I go through a town called Calpine into Truckee. So I'm taking like this roundabout way to get to Reno. 89 to 80 is gorgeous. Trees again, meadows. So, it's 5 something in the evening. So it's that pretty time of the day or night, early evening. And there's no traffic. I thought, yay, I'll take this. There's no traffic, right? So I get off my exit, and it's probably about 2 miles, 2.5, 3 miles from the exit to my house. And I'm behind this truck, and it just rained. It rained pretty good. I was like, oh my God, thank goodness. I hope it's raining in Beckworth, the town that had the fire. But you just never know, 'cause, all those little pockets. And so it started to rain. I was like, oh my God, thank goodness. And I get behind this truck, just like, whatever, like a Toyota truck. And he's going really slow. And I'm like, God, he's going slower than he probably should be. And then he started to swerve. And he started to drive in the bike lane. And then started to swerve. It's a 2-lane road from the exit to the house. And he started to, swerve onto the other side. And I thought, crap. Okay. So I called a non-emergency number, and, make a, what's it called? Not necessarily complaint, but, make it known that there's possibly somebody who's driving drunk. And he had pulled into this parking lot to a restaurant. So I thought, okay, good, but still, like, I don't want you to, maybe go drink some more, which I don't know. So anyways, I made that call, and I didn't want to stop, because I really wanted to be home by that time, and I was so close. So I get home, and I go to open the garage, and it won't open. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I knew I had to unload stuff, right? So I had, chair and table I needed to unload. So I didn't want to leave in my car, because I park on the street. And so I get in, and the power is out. So the power is out, and it kind of feels kind of good to have the lights low. But, the power's out. The fridge started to make this weird noise. It just started to beep every couple of seconds, 4, 5, 10 seconds. I can't remember. It wouldn't stop beeping after about an hour, and then we couldn't get it to stop. And it was just, first you're sitting on the patio going, oh, right, but then you're like, okay, how much longer is this going to go? But luckily it wasn't that much longer. I think it only been out a couple, 3 hours. So that's good. So I get ready for my last full day of massage and my first full week back to working amongst people. And again, I had a full week or a full day. And I was like, yes, I'm very excited. Having a full day, going to work, totally excited. So, yeah, I had a full day, get done, get on the highway. I'm a little nervous, right? Because I'm doing that corridor, that 80 East between Truckee and Reno. And I'm like, oh, please, everything be okay. I really want to just go home today. Like, just go straight. I had an errand. I had to get cat food, and I had to get a couple things at the grocery store. And they're right next to each other, pretty much. So I was like, okay, that'll be, just go get those couple things. No big deal. No traffic. Thank goodness. I'm nervous being near Big Rig now more than before. After knowing one had jackknifed. That crash, by the way, was a Big Rig that had jackknifed. So that back part of their truck just comes forward and probably takes out, if the cars are right there. That just sounds really scary. Anyways, so I made it to the grocery store and got my couple of things. Couple things didn't ring up correct, but I saw them as. And one was like really off, like it said $3.99, but the guy was like, well, if you buy one at $7, you'll get the second one for $3.99. I'm like, okay, I didn't see that anywhere, and I picked up the tag, take it back, I don't want it. And the second piece that rang up incorrect, I was in the self-check, by the way. He had to subtract the amount. And the kid looked at me at one point and he got out his cell phone. And I was like, okay, maybe that's like the work cell phone. But it was his personal cell phone. And he was trying to do, the math on the phone. I thought, okay, he's trying to figure it out. Sometimes you just don't want to have to figure out math in your head in front of other people, whatever. But he said, math isn't my strong suit. And he couldn't figure out how to subtract the 250, it should have rung up 250 and it can ring up 479. So he knew that he needed to do something. He didn't know where to place the 229 or the 250, right? And I was so tired by this time. I was exhausted. I didn't sleep great Friday night. And it was like the second night that week I didn't sleep so good. And then having the full day, I wished I would have helped him and showed him, but he was like, oh, I'll just do the 229, and I should have been like, okay, guy, here's how you do it, right? But I was just pooped. I'd already been standing there for about 10, 15 minutes waiting for them to price check the stuff that rung up wrong. And so I was like, okay, never mind, and I almost want to go back, and say, hey, you're on the right track and math is everything. Math is life. And I remember being intimidated by it, when I was younger. So I get it. But I never want somebody to be turned away from or thinking it's so intimidating, because it really is life. It's everywhere. And I use it more than I ever thought I would as a grown adult. So this is a long episode. This is an hour. And you've been listening to me ramble on about the adventures of my week back to work amongst people. So thank you so much for listening. And, know that, I still, even through all those setbacks and all the, delays you can't control, a crash or natural fire or any of the other snafus that happened all week, that things still got done and I didn't cancel. And, that is huge for me. And, I think Saturday night or Friday night, as I was getting, I don't know, I probably taking a shower, getting ready for bed. I realized I had a bug bite on my butt, and it cracked me up. And so that's why I call this all that and a bug bite on my butt, right? Because it's just like, all right, what else you got? I'll get through this. I grumbled a lot. I did a lot of the sighing, but I got through it, and I didn't back away from any of the obligations. And I would have done that in the past, especially when I was going through the dark night of the ego. And even before that, like when I was with my ex, the last 3 years I was with him, I know I canceled a lot on people. And I know it was a part of this process. And that's like not who I feel like I am. And I remember feeling bad, of course, because I don't want to cancel on like a friend or a client or anything like that. But the fact that I kind of kept going through things that, in the past could have triggered me to go, I need to go regroup from this. I can't talk to anybody for, how I never put a certain amount of time on it. It wasn't like, 24 hours or something, but I didn't want to engage. And I said, I'm just going to do this, and I think it's the truly getting past, like, okay, I'm really truly past. And, knowing that I have my spiritual team around me and my guides and my archangels, and having my tools like tapping, which I did every day. I tapped my face, I tapped my body this whole week, this crazy week. I did a ton of deep breathing. So I did a ton of deep breathing in meditation in the car, right? Because I was in the car a lot where I didn't want to be in the car. And sidebar, I do not like being in a car. Like, I enjoy a good road trip, but I do not like being in a car for long periods of time, driving to and from anywhere. Like, I will avoid it like the plague. I'll do all of my errands like in one grouping so that I don't have to go out multiple times in a week, because it drives me nuts to be in a car. I know that sounds just weird. A road trip's a little different, but being in a car is not my most favorite thing. But the point is, when you start to get past stuff, when you are in alignment, and you have those clients that are in alignment. I had these clients that were doing the deep breathing through the massages. I was like, yes. The release happens. It's just so beautiful when they're naturally doing it. I'll guide clients when a client comes and they naturally do a nice breathing rhythm, and then I sync up my massage and my strokes with their breathing rhythm. Where I'm going to press and use a little more pressure, or I'm not going to, or where it's going to flow a little bit differently. So that was really nice. But lots of little interludes of blessings this week too. And anybody who did flex with me trying to make sense with rebuilding a practice and working again, I appreciate it beyond. And if you would like a private reading, I do readings on Zoom. You can reach me at ancientbodyworks.co. I have a couple spots left in July. If you do have stories you'd like to share, you can email me or send me a PDF of a story, or if you'd like to come on and share it, reach out to me at Carrie Lynn Arata. That's CarrylynArata @gmail.com. I am on Twitter, Infinite Dance 8, at Infinite Dance 8. You can also reach out to me on Facebook, The Infinite Dance. It's a private Facebook page. I am switching it to public, but please reach out. I will definitely give you or love to have you there. And Akashic Guided Meditations every Wednesday morning at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. They're live channeled by donation. And Thursdays, if you are in the Reno, Nevada area, I will be at the Riverwalk Farmers Market at the McKinley Arts Center from 4 to 8. And that's Thursday evenings. And I will do mini readings those days. Those are $44 for the minis. And then, of course, I'll have pillows for sale. So if you want to purchase the Infinite Pillow, you're welcome to do that there. And I hope you continue to come back and join me every Tuesday. I appreciate all of you tuning in. It means the world to me. Your listener support helps to keep this going. And you can send money through listener support or at my patreon.com /The Infinite Dance. And keep continuing to peel back the layers. Continue to ask yourselves and each other, may I have this dance?